I know it's been a while since I've made a video, and Tim mentions something in his most recent webinar about making lead capture being a priority with I/O. Not a priority, I guess, but a big part of what I/O does. And so I wanted to show you guys a couple really cool things that I/O can do. Primarily is I built this little chat that scrolls down with my page. It's on every page. You can click it, and it has a little pop-up. When you fill out this form, you can fill it out, put it in, it sends it, and then when you come into the back end of I/O, we'll refresh it. You have a new lead, and depending on how you have yours set up, you can then start emailing or texting if you have I/O phone. It's a really neat feature. So many different ways you can use this. One way I'm using it is I'm building a landing page like this, and I will have a button like this that it's not working right now because I'm not done, but a button like this where it'll pop out a form that they can fill out and we can start talking. This one is for birthday parties here, but I will be building one for a bunch of different reasons. So we're going to do a little bit of a video to show you how to get all this set up. This one we're going to cover how to create the form in general. So the first thing we're going to do is go into dashboards. I'm going to create this in a pop-up, but it doesn't have to be a pop-up. You can put this anywhere in Elementor. So I'm just going to click add new. You can even make a section if you want. We'll just make a section. Let's call it a section. Okay, so I'm going to do a generic form. You can be pretty detailed if you want to do like tents and you have other questions besides basics, but we're going to do this. So now I know it shows all this stuff up and around, but it's only saving this section. You're not making a page, you're only making this section. So to make this, the first thing we want to do is we want to add a section, and we're going to do a drop down. Alright, so now I'm only designing this blue section. I'm really big into centering everything, and I would like space around it. Alright, now I always start with the form before I do much of anything else. We're going to come back in here and type in form and add it in over here. So this is the default stuff that comes up. We're going to name this form just for that, and then we're going to come through and kind of do a little bit of we'll worry about styling it later. So the next thing you need to do is you're going to link all these fields to Inflatable Office, and to do that you have to go back over here, websites, and go to your checkout page. In your checkout page, every form field that you can put in your form will be on here, contact details or event details. Any one of those. It doesn't matter if it's displaying here or if it's hidden in the background. As long as it's on this page, it's going to work. So to get the information we need, we're going to go to Menu, More Tools, and Developer Tools. Alright, we're going to start up here. And then you're going to click this little arrow with the box pointing in the box. You're going to select it. We're going to click that. And then over here, you see this highlighted section and where it says input and ID. This ID is what we want to copy. Okay, you can't copy it from here, so you just have to type it in, but we're going to come back over to the form. We want this to be it, so we're going to click inside. We're going to come into advanced, and this right here will be changed first and last name. Has to be all one word, has to look exactly like it does here. You don't want to make any changes whatsoever. Don't capitalize, don't lowercase, or lowercase if it's not supposed to be. Most everything is cap or lowercase anyway. No spaces, Nothing. It has to be exactly the same. Once you put that in, we can close that one. We can go to email. You should advance. It already says email. I'm pretty sure this one is going to be the same thing. We're going to click this button again, come in, plug it in. ID is email, so we're good to go on that one. Now we can come down here and do messages. Now this one's a little bit, can be however you want it. By default, everything that does not have a linked deal will go to the event notes in a lead. So I'll open this one up. It will automatically come into the event notes. See how it said test? That message came in. It'll say test. Now it says test here because I wrote it that way. If you leave the ID as message, what will happen is this will come in and it'll say message test, because that field is not linked anywhere inside, so it'll tell you what the ID is and then what it says. So you can add that. That's what I mean. You can do just about anything. So we know email's there. The next one we want to do is message. If you want it to show up there without the display, you can always call it notes. But if you'd like to name it something else, you can always just leave it as message. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I always name this so that I know when it comes in here and it's down here, I know what question they're answering. But you cannot have any spaces and you're only limited to so many characters. I hope that all makes sense. The next thing, I have IO phones, so I like to capture people's cell phone numbers. So I add a new field, I tell it telephone, label, call it cell phone, and then put in both of them. Now we're going to come here and we got to change this. See that weird number? If I didn't add anything, it's going to come in here with that field ID and then the phone number, and you're going to not have a clue what number it is. So you got to come back over here. And this is primary number, is also what IO calls a cell phone, because that's what you want to have. So you don't have to worry about an office phone if someone's not in the office. So you click it, come over here. ID is cell phone, all one word. So we'll come in here. Now, if we're doing cell phone, we'd probably like to have it up to the top. We can also require that a cell phone is in. We add the require mark. Now see, the require mark is out here, but it doesn't show inside here. So if you think you're going to want to hide these labels up here, then you're going to want to come in to your placeholder and add an asterisk in the ones that are required. So I like to require my names to be done. I don't really care about emails being required, but some people do. And sometimes I don't even care about my message because they don't fill out anything. I just have that. I still have something I can contact them with. So if you have IO phone and they fill this out as it is, you're not going to be able to respond to them until you manually check that they're okay to text, right? So here it says it's text. We want to do that in our field, so we're going to do this box again. Click inside the box. We're going to look. ID is okay to text, so we're going to come back in our form field. We're going to add an item. This one, we don't want them to see it, so we're going to make it a hidden field. We're going to call it okay to text, just so it puts it over here, and we know what that one is instead of saying item number 4 or something. Then here we're going to say okay to text. Now, if you know much of anything about codes, when it's a checkbox, 1 is usually checked. 1 is usually checked and 0 is unchecked. So we're going to put a 1. That way it checks that box. If you want to, this is a big one for me. To me, customers have tags, and you can tag them. Add tags so you know where they came from. You can also use the reference field, referral field, and select one of those if you'd like. I don't like to use this because this is where they came from, not necessarily the page that they're on. And I don't want people to be selecting what page it's on. So I have tags. You can also create an optional field that says page visit or something and make a list of all the sections. It doesn't matter if it's a tag or not. It's all serving the same purpose. So we're going to come in to our field. We're going to say add. Again, this is not something I need them to fill out because I can fill it out automatically, and we're just going to call it tag. Tag. And it's also, oh, not HTML, hidden. This is one that IO does not have easily in here. Well, so it says 0, 0, but I know what's in there. I just can't ever get it to find it. So we're just gonna, I'm gonna give this one to you, little freebie. Whoops. You're gonna say general form. You can put spaces in here if you want to. I'm big into capitals. So now whenever they fill out that lead, what's going to happen is this lead here is going to say general form. So we have that. See, none of that's up here. We can also go in and set delivery preferences. You can set city, state, and zip if you're making city landing pages with the form field. If you do that, we'll just show you one of these. I'm going to say text is fine. So you make a city landing page and you want to know what city they're in, what page they landed on. You can come down here to events, click this, and just click city. See, ID is event city. So you can come in here, whoops, in here, and just put event city, and I'm going to put Springfield, whatever. All right, if you serve multiple states, you can do states. If you want to do zip codes, you can do zip codes. It's all however you want your page. All this can change based on what page you're adding this to or what the purpose is. Now, the next thing you want to do is add a reCAPTCHA, okay? I always add reCAPTCHA. I should probably have version 3 because this doesn't work all the time, but it's fine. You may have to link reCAPTCHA in Elementor, and I'll show you a little bit how to do that. Well, you can Google it. You can Google it. I'm not going to show you everything. But now I have this in there, and I can save draft. Save draft. But see how my form's taking up the whole thing? So now we're going to style it some. Call this. Yeah. Now we're going to style it. So we want to come down to the button. Do you want it to stretch the whole way? Do you want it to only be part of it? 50%? Do you want it to be centered? I'm not really sure how any of this is working. There it is. I see. So centered, or this is justified, so it fills up the whole thing. Centered. You can say send. If you're doing multiple page form, which you can do in here, for like questionnaires or surveys, then you can say previous. Choose those buttons. You can say send and change this to say get. Boom. Start the conversation. Whatever you want to put. Doesn't matter. Now we're going to come in to actions after submit. Now by default, you're going to get an email and collect submissions. I always leave collect submissions on. That way I have a redundancy of where information is kept, but you don't have to have it Definitely the email, I turn that off. And the reason I turn that off is as soon as this lead gets created in here, IO sends me a notification. So there's no reason for Elementor to send me a notification. We go in here. We don't need those. We don't really need to fill that out. Now we can go into styling. So we can say, here we go. We want to show the label. I never show the label because it's less space and they can see all that there. You can if you choose to show the label. So unlabel. Boom. Now we want this to not be right along the edge, so I'm going to add some padding. 20, whatever you think looks good. 40. You can click this little link here to undo it, and you can say do 60 at the top, whatever you want, or actually we're going to go less, 20 at the bottom, something like that, whatever you want. You can also change this from pixels to percent so it stays relevant to screen size, however you want to, up to you. Play around with the styling until you get it. I'm pretty happy with that for now until I get the rest of it in. Then you're going to come in and you're going to add a header, and we're just going to say form. Type in however you need to, doesn't matter. Once you're in here, I don't leave this as a H2. I generally change it to a span or something that's more generic and centered, and then I style it to make the text bigger if I want it bigger, something there. You can make it more bold if you'd like. Change the font. There you go. Now you have the form header. Now we need to add a little deal at the bottom, especially if you're going to use this cell phone text thing. Give them a little disclaimer that they're agreeing to the deal. So where we can go to text editor if you want to. Just say I don't even know what it should say, so you'll want to look up something. There you go. Something. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right thing. So we'll leave it at that. And then you can style this down and you can change the font size. So you don't need it super big. Whatever. You want it legible, but nothing like distracting from the actual form and information. And there you go. Now if you want, you can come in back over here, copy this out. Well, that didn't do anything. Let's see what happens here. You can come in, you can add a new one, make it HTML. This might get a little more advanced, so we'll see what happens. You want it before the reCAPTCHA. You can just go P font size 8 pixels. Oops. Come back in. P style equals quotation, font size, quotation. 8 pixels seems a little small, so I'm going to bump it up to 10. And then I'm going to close the P off the paragraph. So you got the little open arrow, greater is less than, P is for paragraph. Style, we're going to style the font size. Make sure you have quotations in where you want it. Font size, colon, 10 px is pixels, semicolon, quotation mark is less than, and then write your little sentence out. And then you're going to do the greater than, / P for paragraph, and is less than. And then that helps style that and places it there. Then you can just get rid of this because I don't like it down there anyway, kind of up in the form. City. That should have been hidden. There. So we have that, and you're good to go. Now you basically have the form. You can publish it. Once it's published, the form is live, but it's not anywhere for anyone to fill out. So now we need to put it somewhere. So we're going to go exit. And now this is where you can get real creative. You can say pages, add new page, edit with Elementor. And now you can choose the little folder and say My Templates. And you're going to search for generic form. It's in alphabetical order. Insert it. Want to apply. And now I added that form in, and it's all there. If you want to go to, let's say you go to maybe I'm going to delete that page. Maybe. You want to create a pop-up, you can go to templates, pop-ups. You're going to add a new pop-up, call it pop-up, call it generic form. So now you created the form one time and you can place it anywhere you want to because you have it as a template. And because it's a template, you can always come in, choose the template, and just because you inserted the template doesn't mean that you can't change it from here. So now you can come in and maybe change the tag, to be chat. You know, you can say this is chat instead. And change the tag in it. So then it changes what happens to the lead whenever it comes in. You can style this. So we're going to hit settings, and style, and border radius. We're going to call it 25. Boom. See how I rounded my corners there? I'm not a big fan of the overlay. So I bring that down quite a bit. I want it to stand out, but I don't need it to stand out that much. And the pop-up, if you want to do a shadow, blur it out, blur it real big, doesn't matter. Spread it out, spread it down. So that's kind of the generics of how to do it. There's a ton of places you can use this. If you have any ideas or questions about how to make this, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to help, especially if you have unique ideas, because I'm always looking for ideas and I'm always happy to help build it. I don't actually build them for people, but I'll help walk you through them. So we'll close it. I'm not saving it because I don't need that pop-up. And that's how it goes. So you can also, I should tell you this as well. Got a generic form in here. You can redirect somebody. So after they fill this form out, we'll click in here. This is an important step. If you want to send them to a specific thank you page, you can say actions after submit, and you add one, and you can say redirect. Whenever you get redirect, you can come down here and type in like your thank you page. I don't know if I have one. I don't. Oh, do it? Nope, I don't. We'll just call it. Interesting. If you know the URL of it, you can just copy and paste it in there. I'm going to just put redirect. So now when they click start the conversation, they're going to go to it's going to submit me the thing and send them back to my home page. That's not a great idea. It's ideally you'd create a thank you page that they would go to, and they can probably browse or more from there, answer more questions, however you want to do it. So don't forget that is also there. Play with any of this. You can integrate it to MailChimp so that it will, when they submit this form, it'll go over to MailChimp. Same thing with any of these other Discords. Didn't know they did Discord. That's fun. We can trigger another pop-up. Interesting. So, hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.